The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
I'm looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of Tuesday evening news. Tuesday evening
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Psychedelic Reporters for this Tuesday, February the 15th in 2022, here on the Pace Radio Network, the very first video podcast focused on psychedelic medicine being reported in mainstream media. And of course, I'm joined as always with my absolutely positively radiant joint host, Miss Cindy Howell. How's it going today, Cindy?
I'm only radiant because I'm still coming off of the meds from this morning.
Yeah, Cindy's recovering from some dental surgery that she had today, and she has some real big issues with jaws and stuff. So whenever there's an appointment with the dentist, she's
Knocked
usually pretty heavily medicated that day. Yeah.
Look,
You
I just
fared okay
remembered-
though today?
I am, and I just remembered I have these little cutouts over here, so I thought it would be really cute to put Bufo on my hat. I have to send you one of these cutouts. I have one for you too. Laura, I have to send you one of these cutouts so you can wear Bufo on your ear too when we're doing the show. I thought it was a great idea. Sorry.
Absolutely, because he's always whispering in our ears. So.
Medicated Cindy might be funny tonight. I apologize. It's either funny or sitting here going, one of the two.
No apologies necessary. It's all good. It's all good. Of course, our music intro tonight and every night here on Psychedelic Reporters was brought to us by the band called Dead Ringer in Kirkland Lake. Thanks and shout out to the boys of Dead Ringer for contributing that wonderful piece of music, original score by Moody Blues, of course, with a few little tweaks and alterations.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm so excited that they offered to do that. Every show, of course, you just sit here and we're just jamming in the background. We watch each other's windows. The two of us are chair dancing. Just it's Kim has said repeatedly that it's one of her favorite bands. So she gets very into it when the song gets playing, and it's hard not to. It's a good tune.
Yeah, it's a great tune. I love the original score, but I gotta say, I think I love the new one more.
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this week, Bufo Alverious has brought us his top stories found in mainstream media. Who is Bufo, you ask? Wow, Cindy. Who is Bufo?
Bufo Alverious is also known as the Colorado mud frog, and there's another name that escapes my brain right now, but very similar to the Colorado mud frog. The Bufo, he secretes when scared. You have to scare him, boo, and kind of make him scared. He secretes a medicine for us that if we vape it. We get taken on a psychedelic journey. Basically, I mean, like we leave our bodies, we get taken on a psychedelic journey, we heal, and it's amazing. So this is what Bufo has done for his human counterparts. He helps us heal. Years ago, back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, I remember my mom telling me when I was a young girl, "Don't lick the frogs." which is still true today. You should really, I mean, if you're going to do it, you should collect the secretions and, properly clean them and then vape it. You'll have a much better experience.
Yeah.
But
Lick the toad.
Yeah. He's just for the most part, Bufo is down in Colorado, hence Colorado mud frog. And he lives in the mud, and the people that harvest the actual, and I just learned this, I don't know, I think we talked about it actually. They go out at night with bright lights to draw out the frogs, and that's when they harvest the frogs, and they do their best to scare them and take the secretions. To be a Bufo farmer would be hard work.
It would be hard work, a lot of night work. I'm up for it. I gotta look at it. Soren desert toad, I believe, was the other.
That's it. Yes, a desert toad. See, it was close, right? So yeah, I mean, we can take a trip down to Colorado anytime and head out to the mud flats and find a few frogs to scare.
I'm into it. Absolutely. Well, before we get to our top stories for today, we're going to take a real quick little station identification mini break. And as soon as this is over, in 1 minute's time, we'll be back with Bufo's top stories for this week. So stay tuned. We got some news coming at you right after this.
Pace Radio is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network.
Open your eyes.
Next week on Psychedelic Tuesdays, tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern for Open Your Eye, our 90-minute video podcast with Kim Cooper and me, Cindy Howell, where we sit down with patients, facilitators, lawyers, and others in the space to discuss their experiences and endeavors working with psychedelic medicine. Join us on Psychedelic Tuesdays each week at 7 p.m. Eastern for all of your news and information from the world of psychedelic medicine.
Bufo here, your psychedelic reporter, here on paceradio.net.
And we're back after a short message from Bufo himself. He wants to get at this week's top stories, so let's get right at her. And this week, our first one's coming from Mugglehead Magazine.
Absolutely. Canadian advocates denounce flawed system for legal psilocybin access.
There most certainly is a flawed system here in Canada. Of course, you've got to apply for a Section 56, which is problematic to say the least. Denying access to psilocybin for palliative care patients seems arbitrary and cruel, advocates say. Spencer Hawkswell, the CEO of Victoria-based nonprofit Therapsil, says that a number of patients who applied for access under Section 56 of the Controlled Substances and Drug Act have recently been denied. Wow.
Yeah. They were told by Health Canada to access the substance through the newly updated Special Access Program or clinical trials. This is a bit distressing for those patients because they've already spent months getting their necessary forms and documents ready for their Section 56 exemption. Hawkswell tells Mugglehead by phone. Yeah, I mean, here they are. They're spending all of this incredible time, some people money, going to consultants or lawyers, such as the people that we know, like Jack Lloyd. And they're doing all of this, and they're putting it all together, and they're stressing over it, and they're sending it in, and I fall under all the guidelines. It's like, well, hey, no, now we're going to do this SAP program over here. So denied. I'd be mad.
Denied. Yeah, some patients are getting approved. Others with the same conditions are getting denied. Hawkswell calls the agency's conduct incredibly short-sighted and says it's completely lacks compassion. Before the changes made to the SAP, which allowed legal access to restricted substances with patients in dire need, came into effect in January, the previous route for access was under Section 56 exemptions. The section facilitated access to alternative therapies when traditional options failed. Everything changed in January.
Yeah, Yeah, and there's that line that catches. I mean, I know it catches you every time because I quote you every
Yeah.
time I hear it. Right? When
Yeah.
traditional it's when modern medications fail, and here is this stuff that can do so much better with so much less harm. But I
Yeah.
digress. Some patients get
Yeah.
approved, while other life-threatening conditions don't. One patient
It's crazy.
one patient whose application was recently denied has found psilocybin helps her treat cluster headaches. Whew. These are sometimes referred to as suicide headaches, as the extreme pain and lack of known treatment has led some people to take their own life. Another patient who was denied access suffers from heroin use disorder and finds small doses of psilocybin help him steer away from opiates and feel hopeful.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then we've got, on the other hand, a patient suffering from treatment-resistant depression had their exemption granted on Tuesday. And that happened 4 days after 7 palliative patients were told they don't get it, according to Hawkswell. I mean, they're palliative and they don't have time to wait. They're in palliative care. I mean,
Yeah.
come on. While federal health administrator Jean-Yves Duclos has shown support for medical psilocybin, Hawkswell says decisions whose granted access are made randomly by Health Canada and not by trained medical professionals. That's a big problem, man.
Yeah. So the secretary behind that desk has to go through that stack of letters and say yes or no with no medical training. That's how I read that earlier. Like it blew my mind. And there's a quote here. So it's a very flawed system. Denying psilocybin access to healthcare practitioners is alarming. On Wednesday, Health Canada denied 130 healthcare professionals seeking access to psilocybin for training purposes and to help patients needing treatment. According to Hawkswell, that's almost a bigger crisis, as patients need practitioners to guide them through the therapy. That means that the 1,000 or more healthcare practitioners in our waiting list are not going to be able to get their experiential training. And it also means that the 1,500 patients that have messaged us looking for trained healthcare practitioners to support their exemptions and their therapy are in the same place that they were 3 years ago.
Wow, just crazy. The SAP amendments are having a negative impact on patients who need access to psilocybin. January 5th, Health Canada enacted amendments to the SAP that allows access to restricted drugs like psilocybin, MDA, MDMA, LSD, and DMT. We reported on this show. When they did that, I was jumping for joy. They were talking about, answers are going to be coming back to you within 48 hours. You're not going to have long wait periods. We were applauding this, but I had no idea that they had changed the whole system of how they make the decisions on granting the permit. With Section 56 exemptions, everything was very different, and we're seeing that now. The amended rules permit access to drugs for the treatment of a patient with a serious or life-threatening condition where conventional treatments have failed, are unsuitable, or not available. Of course, we have to run through the gamut of traditional medicines first, which aren't even traditional, but I'm not, as you say, I digress. I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a different story, and we only have an hour, so yeah.
That's it. Well, some considered the changes a small step forward. Advocates say it's not enough, as many patients won't qualify, and healthcare workers seeking training in psychedelic-assisted therapy can't apply. So the SAP is making it harder for patients who don't have a doctor to help them with the application. Many applications don't know how this new system works. So it's created a whirlwind here of just confusion.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I read this, like, say if my psychiatrist said, "Okay, Cindy, I'm going to write you a prescription for the DMT under the SAP," and I'm like, "Oh, right on." Now, to be able to apply to do this, I then have to find an already legal doctor, like, a facilitator to take me through it. And there are only 19 approved facilitators in Canada, it said earlier. 19 in the whole country for our large mass country. There are 19 approved,
Yeah.
and they're denying doctors faster than they're denying patients.
Just crazy.
Yeah.
Just crazy. I mean, the whole thing is just crazy. Apparently, after a number of Section 56 applications sent last February went unanswered for over 300 days, Therapsil worked with lawyers to file mandarums on behalf, I think that's supposed to be memorandums, on behalf of a patient, which compels the government to respond. But on December the 15th, Health Minister Duclos stepped in, and to avoid further court proceedings, he accepted the exemption application. After that, the ministry approved 8 other exemptions for patients suffering from non-life-threatening illnesses, including PTSD and anxiety, substance abuse, and depression. So, and then in comes the new rules with SAP, and everything's on its head again.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of people with the first report of this SAP, I was just like, well, this is going to be really cool. I mean, even my psychiatrist is just like, well, I can learn how to do some of this and be one of these therapists, but
yeah,
like they said earlier up here, like they've just denied 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Maddening.
Okay, I'm bringing this in. Yeah, it is. It's completely maddening. Something that was supposed to be a step forward has in fact turned out to be a step back.
Yeah, a large step back. I feel like it's like 2 steps forwards and 6 steps back, right?
Yeah. It's not a good thing, that's for sure. Our next story is coming to us from which one is it? Oh, Psychedelic Spotlight. That's right, Psychedelic Spotlight. This one's pretty cool. Inside a 5-MeO DMT retreat, who should and shouldn't embark on this hero's journey?
Yeah, this one, I found this one it caught my eye when it was put in front of me. The psychedelic facilitators tell us open-minded participants who have a willingness to dive deep into their inner world generally have the most success at the Tendava Retreat Wellness Center in Mexico. We're just going to skip that. And they'll turn potential patients away who could possibly be harmed by the experience. Who do a Tatooine? What do a Tatooine dirt farmer named Luke Skywalker and a would-be psychonaut enrolled at one of Tendava's psychic retreats have in common? Both are about to embark on one heck of a mind-blowing hero's journey, at least according to the anthogenic entrepreneurs Joel Briere and Victoria Washington. I want to say Worcestershire sauce, but
Wushner.
There we go.
Wushner.
Yes.
Wushner. I think it's Wushner. Something like that. We apologize, Victoria, for slaughtering your name. We're doing our best. Joel is the CEO and the founder of Tendava's Retreat, a parent company by Kaivalya Collective. And Victoria, its head of education, recently offered Psychedelic Spotlight Media Director Swati Sharma an inside look at its flagship Wellness Center in Tepozatlan, Mexico. They spoke to her about everything from early experiences with hallucinogens and the trajectory of their blossoming business to why their retreats utilize 5-MeO DMT, a potent psychedelic compound outlawed in the United States and a transformative enough to earn a nickname of the God molecule. Oh, yeah.
Man, my spine just gets all tingly when we talk about DMT. According to Joel and Victoria, however, the 5-MeO experience is so powerful, so visceral, and so mystical that a simple description could hardly do it justice. Putting it into words for people can be quite tricky, Victoria said, explaining the best way to understand the psychedelic voyage is to study up on what American mythologist Joseph Campbell calls the hero's journey, a narrative framework beginning with a call to adventure, which has famously served as a template for everything from Skywalker saga in Star Wars to Neo's evolution in The Matrix. Victoria said the hero's journey comparison is so apt. Tandava bakes it into the retreats. It's a transcultural geography that can provide a footing in what can be a very unnerving situation. That would be Joel at it. So why 5-MeO instead of a more commonly used medicine like psilocybin or ketamine? Why not?
Yeah. Why not? Why not? What makes 5-MeO stand out is inevitability and the sense that there is not an individual self. And our entire sense and egoic identity dissolves away, BR said, calling it the crown jewel of entheogenic kingdom. What's on the other side of that type of individual death, that is the grand mystical experience that has been sought after and attempted to be explained for a millennia. It's quite unlike anything else. They go on to discuss, tripping on 5-MeO, and it's comparing it to, throwing a great grenade into a lake of your subconscious. That's a pretty accurate description, I think. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I've only done 3 ceremonies, but in the 3 little ceremonies I've done, yeah, absolutely. Everything that has been suppressed down for so long, it starts to come up to the surface to be looked at and to be worked through. As the pair told Sharma, open-minded participants generally have the most success at the Tandava retreat. I think I'm saying that right. The main thing that we look at is a willingness to surrender. Everything that they think they know about themselves, everything that they think that they know and understand about everything, the process is so far beyond what the mind can conceive that the mind can fight it tooth and nail if you're not properly prepared, which is the whole they're giving you the set and setting, but it's the intentions leading up. That's how they'll help a person prepare. It's like, okay, well, you've got to eat the right foods, and you've got to keep your you've got to write down your intentions so that you have to be prepared to go with those intentions. And I'm sure that they're doing that work, and it's an important part of it. Your intentions, your setting, and I really, I can almost feel their enthusiasm and their love through this whole story, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. Now, it isn't for everybody who should not embark on this trip. On the other hand, they say they don't recommend the experience for persons suffering from complex post-traumatic stress disorder or experiencing excessive obsessive compulsive disorder. 5-MeO DMT is probably not suitable for someone who is very, very attached to who they are and what they think this existence is, and not being willing to budge on that. Someone who is very firmly set in their ideals and doesn't have a whole lot of wiggle room can cause turbulence in the experience as well as integration process. And so we certainly do turn people away on occasion, as this may not be the best fit for them at that particular time. And that makes sense. So,
and that's
it's had a bad rap in the past because of these situations.
Yeah, and they add at this moment, because people can go and they say that for people suffering from they don't want to work with people suffering from complex PTSD. Now, I have CPTSD, but I did work for years with a psychiatrist and then with iboga. And then I was ready for DMT. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, so this is not for me because I have CPTSD, I'm walking, talking proof that there are steps that you can take to be able to experience the 5-MeO. It's just it's remembering to be that it's at this moment. It can become for you.
That's right.
You know what I'm trying to say. Yes.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. There are
Yes.
steps that you can take prior. For Cindy, it was the iboga treatment prior to using the DMT treatment, and she was, I guess, for lack of a better term, your CPTSD was stable at the time that you did the DMT.
Yeah,
Correct?
stable, or I often use the word quieted, but stable is another
Yes.
really good word for it. Absolutely.
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 All right. So
If
I mean,
if
there's stuff going on with
yeah.
there's facilitators out there that'll help you, and they'll be able to walk you through it. And if you're not ready for what they believe you're not ready for DMT, they will probably have suggestions for you to get ready and then return.
Yes, and like most of these people are pretty amazing. I mean, like they're if you don't keep in contact with them, they will reach out and keep in contact with you and make sure that you still want to take this path and you're still doing the work that you need to do to get there. Everybody that I've met kind of in the and again that's limited, but I mean and Kim has met them too, and we've talked to a lot of them. They're very open and loving people and just want to help. So
Absolutely. I'm bringing us back in. Yeah,
okie dokie.
absolutely. It's been an exciting journey communicating with all of these various people in this space. That's for sure. There's a lot going on in this space, and it's expanding into blogs and other platforms where people are writing about it. And I found this little story that we're to kind of cover next uh, in LinkedIn of all places.
Of all places,
Kind of
wow.
interesting.
Yeah, psychedelic
Yeah.
retreats. The world is looking for alternative healing. Boy, howdy is it ever.
Boy, is it ever. This is by a gentleman by the name of Larry Van Uyen. From Van Uyen and Associates. Psychedelic retreats are on the rise, he says, offering guests life-changing transformations from healing to clarity to self-exploration through psychedelic experience. The newfound popularity is partly credited to the book on How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan, which explores new research into psychedelics and their medicinal properties. Many psychedelic retreat attendees attribute the book's influence to the decision to booking a retreat. Very
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. And here we'll explore 4 of the most popular psychedelics used at psychedelic retreats in various parts of the world. Acknowledge the dangers of psychedelic usage and discuss how the new phenomenon fits into the wellness industry. Ayahuasca.
Yeah, first off is ayahuasca #1, right? Of course.
Yes. 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 Ayahuasca is a Amazonian psychoactive brew that is made from ayahuasca and chirtuna plants. And the ayahuasca has, I think it's called chipa, is the other name for the ayahuasca plant that they get the bark from. We learned that when we were talking to somebody, and for some reason that popped into my head. Anyway, traditionally it was used as a ceremonial spiritual medicine by indigenous peoples of the Amazon basin. When consumed in tea form, ayahuasca alters consciousness and can cause hallucinations.
Yeah, it can. Yeah, it can.
It
There's
can.
psychedelic retreats all over the place. South America, Central and South America, Costa Rica, and there's even places popping up in the United States, Europe, and as you and I know, right here in Canada.
Canada.
So it's said to activate repressed memories, help process traumatic events, and allow to come to new understanding of their past. So neuroscientists are studying ayahuasca as a treatment for depression as well as PTSD.
Yeah,
Very
it's
cool
really
stuff.
exciting. Yeah. Yeah.
Very cool stuff. Skip down to the next one, I think.
Ibogaine. Ibogaine is a natural psychoactive substance found within plants of the Apocynaceae family, native to Central Africa and the Amazon, which has psychedelic and dissociative properties. It is used as an alternative medicine to treatment for drug addiction, as well as a means of facilitating psychological introspection. The Pygmy and
Yeah.
Bawiti tribes of Central Africa were the first people to discover the psychoactivity of the root bark of the iboga tree. When French explorers were introduced to ibogaine at the turn of the 20th century, they brought it back to Europe and marketed the substance as a stimulant called laborane.
Yeah, very
That's
cool.
kind of
And of course,
interesting.
retreats offering yeah, it is. And of course, retreats offering the use of ibogaine or iboga are located all over the place, but mainly in Mexico, where it's used for sacramental use and psychedelics are legal. Cancun is very popular, but we know there are also iboga and ibogaine clinics stretched across North America. It's not isolated
Yep.
to Mexico at all.
No,
Yeah,
not at all.
treatments are for patients are tailored by monitoring by doctors monitoring and clinical psychologists and registered nurses.
Hmm.
Treatment protocols: flood dose of ibogaine interrupts opioid withdrawal symptoms. So that's one thing that it's very good for.
Amazing. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. The next one on our list is one that's near and dear to my heart: psilocybin. Yay.
Yay. Yes. Yes. We all love magic mushrooms. Yes, so better known as magic mushrooms, psilocybin is a natural psychedelic prodrug compound found in more than 200 species of fungi. I think it's probably more, like way more than that, which has mind-altering effects similar to those of LSD. Consumers can experience euphoria, a distorted sense of time, change in perception, visual and mental hallucinations, as well as spiritual awakenings.
Yeah, for sure. Human usage of psilocybin predates recorded history, and evidence of prehistoric murals found in modern day Spain and Algeria that depict ingestion and the effects of psilocybin. There's a lot of restricted drug laws that were introduced in the 1960s, and that curbed a lot of the scientific research into psilocybin as well as other hallucinogens. Well-known chains of psychedelic retreats that deal in psilocybin are founded in Oregon. They're expanded across to Canada as well as Jamaica. Pretty much a lot of North America as well as Jamaica, as I've recently found out, is very psilocybin friendly, shall we say.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, very much
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And the
it's
next one is sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I just found it funny when I read this that it's still illegal in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
next one on the list is a drug that's known by many in in the world of animals.
Yes. Yes, ketamine. It's a generic medication that induces dissociative anesthesia, a trance-like state that provides pain relief, sedation, and amnesia. And it preserves airways and breathing, as well as stimulated heart function. It was extensively used for surgical anesthesia in the Vietnam War, which is pretty cool, but it's also used by veterinarians.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A lot of those, a lot of the pharmaceuticals cross the line between animal and human and are used in both species. Absolutely. Lower doses ketamine can help treat pain and treatment-resistant depression. And nicknamed Special K, the hallucinogen, agenic, and dissociative effects can be experienced from both its powder as well as its liquid forms. The article goes on to talk about, dangers of psychedelics, psychedelics in tourism and the wellness industry, and it is most definitely a big trend. We are seeing many retreats open up all over the place. I'm going to pop this back in, and psychedelic retreats are all the rage these days.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, people want to heal and they are, I gotta find the right story here. They are watching the people that have gone before them and it's inspiring people. I mean, there have been a couple of documentaries out there. I'm looking at my TV because, of course, I watch them up there. So, yeah, I mean, people are being inspired to go and do and heal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We've got one final story before we go to our commercial break coming at you. This one is coming to us from Marijuana Moment. Very
Yes.
cool.
Hawaii senators approve psilocybin task force and force bill in committee with decriminalization measures still pending.
Oh, decriminalization's got to come along after this, I think. The Hawaii Senate Committee on Friday approved a bill to set up a state working group to study the therapeutic benefits of psilocybin mushrooms and develop a long-term plan to ensure that psychedelics are accessible for medical use for adults aged 21 and older. It's about time.
It's one of several psilocybin measures, including one that's broader in scope by decriminalizing the substance and requiring the establishment of therapeutic psilocybin treatment centers that have been introduced and could be taken up in the legislature this session. The Senate Health Committee unanimously passed the more modest proposal in a 5-0 vote. Though one member formally noted his reservations, the panel also adopted an amendment that was recommended by the State Department of Health to protect department employees from facing ethics code violations if they participated in the proposed work group.
Yeah. I'm going to skip right down to the bottom of this article. Members would be required to study the medicinal and the therapeutic effects of psilocybin and developed a long-term strategic plan to ensure the availability of therapeutic psilocybin or psilocybin-based products that are safe, accessible, and affordable for adults 21 years of age or older. That's going to take some doing. While the report drafted would have required the workshop to submit a report with its findings and recommendations within 20 days of the 2023 legislative session, the committee approved another change on Friday that pushed back the effective date of the bill to January 1st, 2050. So
that's a head scratcher.
Just thought I'd point that out. 2050. Are you kidding? Come on, Hawaii. You got to move a little bit faster than that. It's not rocket science here, guys. It's not rocket science.
Yeah, they're giving themselves 28 years.
It's got to go. Yeah, it's we don't need these kind of long-term studies for something that's only been illegal since 1960. Prior to that, it was, used widely. We have anecdotal as well as documented information on this. I'm going to pop this back in. We have documented information on this already. 2050? Are you kidding me? Come on. All right. Anyway, I digress. It's medication time.
It is. It means it's time to pay some bills, and go sit here and go, oh my God, why we're paying the bills. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsors, and then we will be right back with another 4 news items that Bufo. Oh, wrong side, Cindy. Bufo has chosen making mainstream media news.
Awesome. We'll be back in about 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Hang tough, guys. We got some more.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
The Pace Radio Network is the place to be for all your information from the world of psychedelics, because we are pleased to bring our listeners 2 shows focusing on psychedelic therapy in the world of natural medicine. First up, we have Open Your Eye, which airs on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. Open Your Eye is a 90-minute video podcast with Kim Cooper and Cindy Howell interviewing patients and professionals in the space. Patient stories, facilitators, lawyers, and others discuss their journeys and endeavors involving psychedelic medicine. But they're not done, because Kim and Cindy are back on alternate Tuesdays at 7 p.m. with Psychedelic Reporters as they bring along the show's mascot, Bufo, aka the Colorado Mud Toad, who is scouring the news wires for all the latest in psychedelic news. He then passes it on to Kim and Cindy to cover in this 60-minute video news podcast. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Psychedelic Tuesdays right here on the Pace Radio Network, found at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains, and when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed, and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
Bufo here, your psychedelic reporter, here on paceradio.net.
And we're back.
We are. Sorry, my gosh, we are back from our medication session live on the here on the Psychedelic Reporters on Pace Radio Network. Yeah, no, I had the wrong notes on top of that one. That's crazy.
And we got another 4 stories coming at you today from the realm of psychedelic medicine here on Pace Radio Network on the Psychedelic Reporters. Let's get right at it. We're live.
We're live. I'm sorry.
We're live.
We're live.
Yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good. This is interesting, this story.
Coming to us from Fox 4. Why there's a push to legalize psychedelic drug therapy in Missouri.
Yeah, very cool. Jefferson City, Missouri. A new bill from the Missouri legislature would allow for hallucinogenic drugs that are now illegal to be used to treat people struggling from depression, PTSD, and all sorts of addictions, according to this article. Many people think that psychedelic drugs like ecstasy and magic mushrooms as a recreational high to be taken at a music concert, but used in a therapeutic setting, veterans and their families say it saved their lives. Ain't that the truth?
Veteran Jared Reinhardt from Anderson, Missouri, suffered from failed relationships, depression, and anger issues after retiring from the Marine Corps and trying to return to civilian life. When conventional treatments failed, he turned to psychedelic therapy. I was about to read what was in the blue. Reinhardt traveled to Peru and a treatment center that is widely known by the military community. After taking a controlled amount of hallucinogenic drugs under the watchful eye of trained therapists, Reinhardt said his depression was cured. He said it felt like one of these sessions was like 10 years of therapy.
We've heard this repeated over and over and over again from patients that have embarked on various elements in psychedelic therapy. 4 hours is the shortest time that I heard saying, that years of suffering was eliminated in 4 hours. A couple of people have said over a couple of days. This gentleman, it was over a couple of treatments. It's an amazing step forward. So the bill before the Missouri legislature would legalize psychedelic medications that are now outlawed under the right to try law for investigational drugs. According to Missouri State Republican Representative Michael Davis of the Kansas City is behind the bill. Drugs like psilocybin found in magic mushrooms could be manufactured in Missouri, and physicians and pharmacies could distribute them. Well, that's an interesting approach.
St. Louis clinical psychologist Larry Shapiro said this therapy is a game changer in mental health. What may have taken 6 years to get into therapy is now taking 6 hours. Psychedelics work on a different receptor in the brain compared to antidepressants. Meanwhile, Brewer and her husband have established the Humble Boar Wellness Center for veterans and their families to continue to overall mental and body healing for military families. Reinhardt is the lead psychedelic integration coach at the Heroic Hearts Project. That's exciting.
It is. That is very cool. I'm going to bring us back in. It's very, very cool stuff going on over there in Missouri. I mean, who'd have thunk it? Missouri. Really?
Missouri has these really cool facilities. Yeah, no, that's amazing. Veterans are very lucky.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's
They're
awesome.
very lucky
It's
in that area.
fantastic to see these states climbing on board. It's really very cool evolution that's going on in individual states south of the border. Hopefully Canada gets its shit together on board with our SAT program. Our next story is coming to us from Medical Express, another psilocybin story. Psilocybin treatment for major depression effective for up to a year for most patients, according to this study. So you get your treatment and you're good for a year, Cindy.
Yeah. Previous studies by Johns Hopkins Medicine researchers show that psychedelic treatments with psilocybin relieve major depressive disorder symptoms in adults for up to a month. Now, in a follow-up study of those participants, the researchers report that the substantial antidepressant effects of psilocybin-assisted therapy given with supportive psychotherapy may last at least a year for some patients. That's just really exciting.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Very cool stuff. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you read the next one because I was just, I had to take care of something here.
No worries. A report on the new study was published on February 15th, 2022 in the Journal of Pharmacology. Our findings add to evidence that under careful controlled conditions, this is a promising therapeutic approach that can lead to significant and durable improvements in depression, says Natalie Gukanzian, who's an MD, assistant professor of psychiatry and behavioral sciences at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. She cautions, however, that the results we see are in a research setting and require quite a lot of preparation and structured support from trained clinicians and therapists, and people should not attempt to try it on their own. Very, very good advice. Don't attempt to try it on your own. You should always have somebody there, and preferably somebody with some sort of knowledge to what you're going through or some medical knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to skip right down to the very, very bottom here. It says psilocybin not only produces significant and immediate effects, it also has long duration, which suggests that it may be uniquely useful new treatment for depression, according to Roland Griffith, PhD, and the Oliver Lee McCabe III, PhD, professor in neuroscience and neuropharmacology of consciousness at the Johns Hopkins University. I mean, that's amazing. Compared to the standard antidepressants, which must be taken for long stretches of time, psilocybin has the potential to enduring relieve the symptoms of depression with 1 or 2 treatments, and then you're set for 12 months.
Yeah. That's pretty exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, the comparison, I'm going to pop this in, the comparison with the pharmaceutical and, lengthy sessions of treatment sessions, pills that you're popping for years on end, possibly with no end in sight, to think that you could go medication free and symptom free simultaneously is exciting stuff.
It is. It's very thrilling.
Yeah.
And patients will be so excited to get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our next story is coming at us from Yahoo Finance.
Yes.
What's this?
Awakn Life Sciences professor Celia Morgan named one of the most influential women in the psychedelics industry.
We discussed her from a previous article here on the show when we were discussing is it Awakn or Awakn? Is it Awakn maybe? Maybe it's Awakn. I'm not sure. Sorry about the pronunciation of your company name. Awakn maybe. This is cool stuff to see females projecting forward in this space. Professor Morgan is Awakn's head of ketamine-assisted therapy for addiction, named one of the 16 most influential women shaping the future of psychedelics, according to Insider. They're a biotechnology company researching and developing and delivering psychedelic therapeutics to treat addiction, and announced that Professor Celia Morgan, the company's head of the assisted therapy addiction, was named in the strategic position. I mean, it's quite the honor to be one of the top 16 most influential people shaping this space.
Oh, very exciting. I'm absolutely thrilled for her. We are excited to share this well-deserved recognition for Celia and congratulate her on her pioneering work, and which is helping to shape the psychedelic industry. She truly is an industry leader in the field of ketamine-assisted therapy. And this is coming from Anthony Tennyson, who is the Life Sciences CEO. Celia's research showcases that ketamine-assisted therapy can have a significant positive impact on the millions of people currently suffering with addiction. And they are so proud to support her continued work. Celia Morgan, absolutely. Celia Morgan added herself that she is greatly honored, of course, to be showcased amongst these incredible other women. There's 16 of them altogether, shaping the future of psychedelics. And she has been recently published phase 2 AB trial data. So she's been recently published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, showcasing the efficacy of ketamine-assisted therapy for treatment of alcohol use disorder, which is really exciting. And I believe we reported on this particular one where they stayed sober, stayed abstinent for 162 out of 180 days.
Yeah. Amazing stuff. She's also leading the world's first ketamine treatment study for gambling addiction, which was previously announced in August 2021, so very recently. This research is the first such study to look at psychedelics for the treatment of behavioral addiction. The study was also approved last month to expand to other behavioral addictions, such as binge eating disorder, compulsive sexual disorder, and internet gaming disorder. So, I mean, her work is ongoing in this field, and it's quite exciting. I'm going to pop us back in here, Cindy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's quite exciting stuff going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, she is. She's making strides, and it's really exciting that after we already reported on what she was doing, and now we hear that she is up for, or part of this awards and part of this recognition. Is just really pretty cool.
It is. It's very cool. It's very cool. I love following females excelling in these new spaces in natural therapy for sure. Our very final story of the day. Love the little psychedelic swirl in the middle of this one. This one is coming to us from Medical Express one more time. The struggle to define psychedelics. Oh, yes, the struggle is real.
Struggle is real. Psychoactive drugs include all manner of hallucinogens, dereliants, hypnotics, and psychedelics. But what is a psychedelic really? Insofar as many in the field are now moving towards bringing new molecules with presumably desirable introspective properties into a larger, potentially druggable populace, there is a palpable need for increased clarity. There is a curious push to define psychedelics as compounds that alter consciousness by acting on serotonin receptors in the brain, most notably the 5-HT2A receptors. We're going to learn a little bit, apparently, I think, with this one. However, that is a terribly paraphysical definition that clearly suffers from a narrow perspective. Surely many receptors are likely many non-receptor effects can create what is already commonly understood as a psychedelic effect.
Yes, absolutely. I started reading that, and then I realized my mic was muted, so that worked out really well. A timely attempt to bring further order to the world of psychedelic molecules was recently put forward in the Journal of Current Biology. The authors offered a divide and conquer approach that assigns psychedelics to one of three classes based on their chemical structure. Oh, here we go with the words. There's three words here, and they're the basics of the chemical structures. I'm not even going to try. So there's the tryptamines, something along that line, which is the 5-HT or the serotonin, belongs to familiar molecules, including psilocybin, psilocin, DMT, and 5-MeO-DMT, with the addition of methyl groups used in the ethylamine chain, as well as addition of other critical side groups to the core fused idol benzo pyrrole ring system. Whole lot of technical terms there. They're basically trying to put all of the elements of the psychoactive components in these various plant and fungi and animal-based psychedelic byproducts into categories.
Yeah, what part of the brain are they stimulating to do what they're doing? I think is what they're trying to figure out. So they know that these big words here, as you can see in these blocks, like these are all like what they go with. Like, I mean, like that part of the brain is affected by, those particular psychedelic medicines, right?
Elements.
Yeah.
I prefer the short versions, just as we do, THC, CBD, CBN, all of these things in the cannabinoid field. I think I'll stick with that type of situation in future when it comes to the molecules in psychedelics as well. You know, DMT,
DMT.
LSA,
Yeah.
LSD, 2CB, DOI. I'll be using the abbreviated terms for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. The ergo lines were initially isolated from the ergo fungus and can be further processed into more familiar derivatives like LSD. And finally, the other ones are based on a scaffold of benzene ring with an amino group attached through 2 carbon. And they explain what different things are doing. You come down a little bit further. I'm pointing at the screen, but you can't see this. This division is handy, hardly exhaustive. Some phenolymes, such as MDMA, act through entirely different mechanisms, while derivatives such as muscimol and dissociatives such as salvorian A and ibogaine and nitrous oxide and ketamine have entirely different unique structures. So they affect different parts of the brain to be able to
absolutely
give you what you need, right? So this is kind of the scientific view of what these are doing to our head.
Exactly. The scientific mapping out of it all. Now, of course, all of this is not new. All of this and much more was actually laid out many years ago by the late godfather of psychedelics, Alexander Shulgin, who together with his wife penned 2 famous books on the topic based on his direct experiences with hundreds of compounds he invented as well as synthesized. Those 2 still unmatched treatises, PCAL and TCAL, standing for the 2 longer technical names. They say they've known and loved. The methodology laid out the first exhaustive rational drug design approach to designer of the psychedelics. Each instruction synthesis account is typically accompanied by a thorough dosing of recommendations, comparative routes of administrations, bioassays, method of metabolism, and detailed commentary on the time course of effects. So, I mean, he's known as the godfather of psychedelics for a reason. I mean, he tried everything himself and then documented it all from a scientific perspective. And many people are taking up that work today. So, I mean, we can go through this whole thing, but let's skip down to the final. I'll give you the final paragraph of this story, for example.
Yes, for example, structural analysis comparing receptor-bound serotonin with similarly non-hallucinogenic lesions like glyceride reveal a bias towards arrest and recruitment. Based on these analyses, researchers were able to design arrestin-based ligands that displayed antidepressant-like activity in mice without hallucinogen effects. They note that the recruitment alone is insufficient for antidepressant effects, but the low G protein signaling of the arrestin bias ligands appears to allow antidepressant effects without causing hallucinations. I think what this is saying in a long way around, for those people that don't want hallucinogen effects, they are working to help you with that. So you can be able to take your psilocybin without seeing things and hopefully getting the same antidepressant.
And pop us back in. I mean, to me, that's microdosing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's microdosing. Now, macrodosing during your microdosing regime once in a while has been shown to be helpful, but it's not absolutely necessary.
No.
If it is something that you're opposed to. But the evolution of psychedelics in medicine is growing by leaps and bounds, as we can see.
Yes, it's exciting.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. Well, thank you everyone for joining us this week here on the Psychedelic Reporters on the Pace Radio Network. And thanks for tuning in to our video podcast. You can catch us on our YouTube pages as well as other social media sites and the Pace Radio Network at paceradio.net.
Absolutely. And we hope you enjoyed our update on the mainstream media coverage on psychedelics, on psychedelic medical advancements from around the globe. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. It has been. Many thanks to our sponsors as well as to my wonderful joint host, Miss Cindy Howell, as well as to Bufo Alverious for making this show possible, and to all of you for joining us here each and every week on Psychedelic Tuesdays. Let's hear one more time from the band from Kirkland Lake. Dead Ringers in the house to bring us out. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you next time.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Looking at myself, reflections of my mind. It's just the kind of day to leave myself behind. So gently swaying through the fairyland of love. If you'll just come with me, you'll see the beauty of